Words that can capture the horror and the evil of this unspeakable act. Children are dead. There are families that have a deceased child. You cannot put into words the gravity, the tragedy, or the absolute pain of this situation.
A back-to-school mass at a Catholic church in Minneapolis turned into a heartbreaking tragedy. Families and children had gathered to pray and celebrate the first week of school, but instead they faced a nightmare no one could imagine. Police confirmed that 2 young children, just 8 and 10 years old, were killed while sitting quietly in the pews. 17 others were injured, most of them kids, and 2 remain in critical condition. What was meant to be a moment of joy and faith became one of fear and unbearable loss. The gunman, a young man dressed in black, came to the church armed with several weapons. He blocked some of the exits, then began firing through the windows. Dozens of shots were heard. To add to the terror, he set off a smoke device that filled the air with confusion and panic. Police say the attacker eventually took his own life inside the church. No clear reason has yet been found for why he carried out such violence. The community is left shaken, grieving the young lives stolen so suddenly, and holding on to one another for comfort in the face of such sorrow.
Is absolutely incomprehensible. Police officers from the Minneapolis Police Department immediately responded, entered the church, and attempted to provide first aid and rescue some of the children.
The scene inside the church was one of fear and chaos. Children ran to hide, some clinging to each other, others crouching under pews, praying for safety. Parents and teachers tried desperately to protect them as the sound of gunfire shattered what was supposed to be a peaceful morning. When police arrived just after 8:30 a.m., they rushed inside to help. They found children crying, some injured, and many too terrified to move. Officers carried kids out of the building and tried to give first aid while waiting for ambulances. The faces of the first responders showed the same shock and grief as everyone else. They had walked into a place of worship, only to find it turned into a place of tragedy. The gunman's car was left behind at the scene, and investigators are now searching it for clues. Authorities say he had little criminal history, and it is not yet clear how he got the weapons he used. Police are also looking for notes or signs that could explain why he did this, but for now, no answers have been found. What remains are the painful images of small children hurt and 2 families grieving their little ones. A community that had gathered for faith and hope now sits in silence, mourning together, asking why such a terrible act had to happen. The church, once a place of comfort and hope, is now surrounded by police tape and grief. Flowers and candles are already beginning to appear outside its doors, placed there by neighbors, friends, and strangers who simply want to show their sorrow. Each candle flickers for a life taken too soon, and each flower carries the weight of a broken heart. For the families who lost their children, there are no words strong enough to heal what has been shattered. Their sons or daughters left home that morning for prayer, never to return. For the children who survived, the memories of this day will remain. Memories of fear, of screams, of running and hiding when they should have felt safe. City leaders have promised more answers in the coming days. They are searching for clues, examining the shooter's past, and trying to piece together a story that still makes no sense. But for the community, no explanation can undo the loss. No investigation can bring back the laughter of 2 young children, silenced forever. What was meant to be a celebration of a new school year has become a tragedy etched into the city's heart. Minneapolis is left mourning, with churches, schools, and families across the nation holding them in their prayers, hoping that somehow healing will come. As night fell, the questions remained, and the grief only deepened. Parents held their children tighter, wondering how a sacred place could be touched by such darkness. Teachers and classmates tried to understand how they would face tomorrow, knowing 2 empty seats would never again be filled. The mayor and police chief spoke of unity and resilience, but their voices carried the same sadness as everyone else. No speech, no promise of justice could erase the pain that settled over the city. The sound of gunfire may have ended, but the echo of loss will remain for years to come. For now, Minneapolis is a city in mourning, A community that gathered to pray is left to grieve. 2 young lives have been stolen, and many others forever scarred. And in the quiet of the night, the question hangs heavy over every home and heart. Why did this have to happen?